Alright, hello guys, this is what we're going to make today. So this is a kind of hard techno, Sara Landry style. So let's first see what kind of elements makes it hard techno and Sara Landry style. As usual, we're gonna go through the kick. So how I made this kick. So first I have the kick layer. So I'm gonna withdraw every effect here. My rack. So here. This is my kick. So this is just a basic 909 kick with a strong sine wave to have the sub part of the kick. So I just EQ to withdraw a bit of mud to make it more clean and withdraw the boxy side in this frequency range. Then I have top kick. So here it's just a snare. So I compress it. So I use the drum bus. You have a compressor here with the transient part. You can reduce the transient or enhance it. So here I have the clap, the transient parts. I also do the same with the kickstart or any kind of side chain. I take only like the transient and I withdraw some of the tail. And then I distort and make the highs a bit more crispy. And I have another layer, a snare layer. So this is a snare also, but more in the high, more noisy and more in the high end of the frequency range. I do the same processing at first, so transient side of the drum bus to get compression. The kickstarts, again, some distortion, and I add a bit more distortion at this point. So here it's already nice, but I want it a bit more in the high end and more crispy. And I want a bit of reverb to get the warehouse effect, room effect. And here I just have my kick layer. I want, of course, a rumble to fill in the subspace. So as usual, I make a rack with first a dry signal and a reverb signal. And for my reverb, I use first the shaper for the sidechain. Of course, full reverb on. And then I need something very compressed and very enhanced in the sub parts. So I use first this corpus to get the sub, a bit more sub. So I'm gonna show you. So here I only have like a huge layer of sub going through a reverb. So I enhance it a bit, I compress. So now I have something very distorted and I only want to keep the sub part. Again, I distort again. So I get more frequencies here. So it's more, and again. And then this is the sidechain. So again, the rumble is really something like you go, you make your sub bass go through a big reverb to get that warehouse effect, and you need something like a mass of frequency that go through the sub that's compressed and saturated, and then you only keep what you want with the sidechain and you get your kick. So this was the first part, and then I compress the whole thing together. So drum bass is really efficient, but you gotta be careful because sometimes it's too much. So here I only keep like 48% of the thing, and I could also play with the trim. But here for the style it was okay. And then I need my Psy Bass. So I added one layer of transient again because I thought, okay, this is better. It cuts through the mix with this, and it was more matching the style of Sara Landry based on his on her last tracks. So here's just a sample, a kick sample with already a kind of snare and lots of transient underneath. So I don't want to mess the sub part, so I only keep the high end and a bit in the mid ear to get the snare, the punch. And then just reverb, and this is the same rack I use every time. So this is just reverb, bit of flanger to make it move, and another reverb, so short, pretty short reverb here. I think I only kept this one here. And then I have my Psy Bass. So I made it myself from Serum. So just a basic pattern, 16 pattern. You gotta make sure you're in the right tone. So first check the tone of your kick with a spectrum. So like this, you can check your kick, the note, and then you can try and make your bass. So I started from scratch. First thing first for a bass, it's just to get a clicky note. So just put your sustain down to 0 and just a small decay. So it's just a quick note, and you have to link the envelope to the cutoff of the filter, so a low pass filter, so that every time it plays, you first get the high end, and then it drops down as long as with the note playing. And then basically I just try some different waves. And I used, of course, FM synthesis to get more grit and a more complex sound. So here, if you withdraw it, just a bass, almost a sine wave. You can get quickly crazy sounds. Also, if you boost the drive. But I wanted something more clean this time, so I just kept a bit lower in the FM synthesis and just try and change. There you go, you got another bass. Just play with the different waves and you can get some interesting results. And I only put some flanger, but it's not mandatory. And also to get different tones, it's interesting to put some distortion. So either distortion here from Serum, I could have tried with this one, but here I just use the amp. And you see it really changes the tone, and you can try different variations. And that's it. And then I just finally used a drum bass to make it glue, to make everything glue. Again, it's just a mild compression, and the trim was put down. And there you go. You have your side kick. And then I recorded this just for CPU. And to do that, so I first recorded a version with the Psy Bass with a filter, another one with the filter out, and so you have these two layers. Alright, and I just did a few adjustments here on the EQ just to cut a bit of the mud. So it's more clean like this. And sometimes it's nice to cut some frequencies that are not nice to hear, but you want to enhance again after, and it gives you some better results without killing the frequency range. So that's it for the psychic. So then I have the main element. So this is the vocal, the choir. So we start with the main one. So I wanted something choppy. Sometimes you can use the auto pan to do this. To get that sidechain and choppy feeling. So first with the notes, so I took the scale and I just took like the fifth, the third, the main tone. I've put some bars like this, and then I chopped it up and make some variation like this along the track. And for this noise I used the Omnisphere, but this is just a core. So you see, and I took only a small decay, so same as the bass and as the Psy Bass. And you put lots of reverb, a bit of saturation to make it enhance, and some delay to make some space. and then I make it evolve along the track with the auto filter, also with the reverb if I want. But yeah, this is pretty strong reverb. And what makes it work is the vocal that are underneath. So I have first the same. So this is the same notes, and I guess I use the same sound source. Yeah, that's it. Just with more reverb, like full reverb on and longer decay, it fills up the frequency range, and I added a bit more autopan. So to do this this autopan, so this is a tremolo effect. So at first you have this. So this is just your core with the notes going through the big reverb, and then you gotta put your phase down, and there you go. You get your tremolo effect. And also I wanted some contrast, so I took the pitch down this time, so to get some boys note instead of kind of a woman. And I took the same notes but just longer, and I just tweaked them. So when I have the main ear, I have the 5th ear, and I have the 3rd ear. I have the main, the 2nd, and so it makes some contrast. So when this goes up in the main vocal, this goes down. This creates this contrast, and it's something you want to hear. Your brain likes it. And I added just for the intro another chopped vocal layer. So this is the same preset with the pitch down, exactly the same processing. Just hear the notes, just a single note, quite simple, but you got syncopated pattern and polyrhythm. So this is very effective to make your track move, because here it's just like an endless note, and it changes the place every time it plays, so that you don't get bored easily. Every 1 bar, for instance, you get some variations. And then finally I have a vocal, so here I just used a sample. I try to find and match with the track, so to get that grit and that kind of industrial hard techno feeling, you use the amp with the heavy mode. It's really effective. I have again my tremolo effect, lots of reverb, and you gotta make sure you in the right scale. So here I pitched it up, 3 up. So that's it for the vocal. Then I have Screech. So the Screech is a small note with lots of distortion. So this is almost a kind of bass, or it's very robotic sound actually. So I think I started with the sequence, but I only kept like the small part, so that's just a small note. So here it's a bit detuned. You got 3 oscillators, a bit of unison, and you got a very small reverb, plate reverb. That's what's give this robotic kind of sound. And then you just got the LFO3, so this was the sequence, and that was make it the small notes. It's exactly the same as this. I have this small decay if I play it. And this is linked to the tone here. So as you play it, it goes down in the pitch, and it moves like this according to this LFO. So the tone is bending as you play, and then just distortion. And huge reverb. And then you get the bass, so this is the same sequence. That I play, so it's just a long bar, but it's a 16 pattern. And you get the same effect with the semitone that is moving along the note playing, and the cutoff. And same effect, distortion. So then we have hats. So here there's lots of hats. The way I did it is I took lots of loop that I've chopped. So I think it's the same processing each time. Bit of saturation with the overdrive to get more noise. Bit of reverb and sidechain. Yeah, that's it. And the way I did it, and also I grouped everything to get a bit more EQ and to glue it up with the reverb. But the way I did it is I took these loops. So for instance this one, I had a full loop at first. It was this one. I take only the part that I want. For instance this one or this one. I can take it, and then I use the transient trick. So then you get only like small transient. So this is nice because you keep the groove of the loop, but you can adapt with the transients and the kind of hats you want. If you want longer hats, you can even keep like a smaller part and duplicate. and this gives you something that goes quickly. So that's what I did, and I did the same with the others, and I introduced different loops. So here that was a break loop, and for instance I can keep only this part if I want. I loop, and I match with the transient that I want. And so small parts after parts, I get a more fuller loop with a lot of groove, because there's different velocities in these loops. And I only keep like a small part of the loop because it goes more quickly in terms of rhythm, because if I took longer, then it doesn't repeat itself and it slows down the track in terms of groove. So you see, if I took this, if I take this, it goes quickly. So yeah, that's it for these ads. And then we have the open ads. So this is pretty important for this kind of tracks because there's always a huge open hat like this that gives the rhythm. It's really like a call and answer with the kick. And to make it a bit more interesting, I took the end part of it and I put it here before. So it's a bit more interesting than just the open hats. Gives more groove than just taking this. And also you had the side chain. And here the processing, so I withdraw lots of frequencies that were a bit more harsh, So I took something that was more clean, a bit more noisy, and then lots of saturation with 2 overdrives, and then the reverb. Okay, and then I have my clap. So at first it's just a basic clap, so just a bit of variation with a long note, a short note, and a very mild clap just at the end of the 8 bar to make it move a bit more. So you see, it's less robotic stuff. If I withdraw this last note, it's a bit too obvious. And then in terms of processing, not so much, because you have to choose the right sample. So here it's just a 909 basic sample, and I just add my classic, so overdrive for distortion, and my industrial rack. This is just reverb and delay here. So we get a bit of delay and a bit of reverb. Then you get just a few effects, nothing important here. Just a sample to make the transition, and here the effects. And then finally I have my whispers and ambience. So let's first start with the ambience. The ambience, I took texture. So you can look in your sample, took a texture, or basically you can just take, for instance, so you can take a broom or anything really, and then you just take the small part in the sampler and make in the sustain mode. So then I withdraw the low end because I don't want the mud. So you see, at first it was like, it was really a texture, nothing like something crazy. So then I play with the pitch to choose what kind of tone I want. I withdraw the low end and I play with the grain delay until I get something I like. Then you put lots of reverb, full reverb on. So now you have almost a drone. And I only keep the noisy parts that I want, and I make it move with the LFO here from the auto filter to make it move along the track. So here it will move like this, and sidechain. And for whispers, I almost use the same technique, but I'm gonna show you. So I took a sample of whispers, but I'm gonna show you that. So I use this one, I guess. So these are whispers, and I'm gonna show you how I did the same thing with my voice. So here's just a sustain mode of the whispers. Again, same thing, same processing. So I just keep the high end and I make it move with the auto filter. And I did the same with my voice. So to do that, I recorded my voice. So you can do with your microphone, your phone. I'm gonna say like something. So you see, I just said something. And I take this sample, I put it in the sampler. I take only the parts that I want in the sustain mode. And then I have withdraw the S because of my microphone. It was resonances. So you see it's a bit harsh, so I only keep this part. And already I have two layers. So I have the basic one, and I took one in the octave above to get already two voices and a mix of whispers. I get a bit more grit and high end. Reverb to get this space and this disseminating whispers that you can't really comprehend, but that's what we want. I think I tried the grain delay, but I didn't keep it. And then I just withdraw a bit more resonances, and I keep the auto filter and the sidechain. And there you go. So you can play with that. You can play with the tone also. to get what you want, and you can try and say different things. And that's it for the whispers. And so just in terms of arrangement, this was just a quick loop, but so you see first I have my psychic with a low pass filter on the bass. Then I make the transition to get the high end. Always when there is a variation like this, you gotta accompany this. So either here with the vocal sweep or here the vocal. But then when I made this transition, I accompany it with the sweep and with the impact. Also when you put things away, so here I had lots of snares, I had my clap, my hats. To make it go away, I used a reverb, so you can use the return channel here and put the reverb up so that it's more smooth. And so on the reverb rating effects, I have just a big reverb full on with 10 seconds or more, and the sidechain, and of course we throw the low end because you don't want the mud. And yeah, I chose to keep the, so I was putting the tension here, so I put everything, the main vocal underneath, a bit of hats, drums that I've put here until the drop. And when I go with the drop, I withdraw everything except from the main vocal and the kick, so that you create that tension and then it relieves and you get just a big kick with your lead or your main vocal or whatever. And also, as you see, I play with the filter and the kick to make it move and to get even more tension, building and relieving. And with the clap, I use also same, you can do this with the snare. Usually it's done with the snare, but you can use the clap. So I use the clap that I use for my track. And here the pattern, it's the basic pattern for building tension. Bit too much reverb. And yeah, that's it. And you see here also with this transition, I had the vocal. When I start the track, I have another vocal. So each time there is a 16 bar, there is a variation and something accompanies the variation. And during the 16th bar, there's always something that must be moving. So it could be the hats. You could also play, for instance, with a transient and make it go up during this phase, these 8 bars. It could be the bass when you cramp up or down the auto filter. When you get your variation here, you get the impact and yeah, different things. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, if it helps you, and what kind of tutorial you want for the next time. Thank you very much for your support, and see you in the next one.